Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Walking Strong with Bill Armstrong. Of course, I am Billy Embody, but just letting you guys know, this one with Bill and I went a little long. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of our interview with Paul Rasmussen, the senior minister of Highland Park United Methodist Church, for his story on how he got involved with SMU basketball, dating all the way back to the Larry Brown era. So we hope you enjoy this interview. As always, check out our friends at EpochWines.com. You can also check out the Pony Express case, EpochWines.com/pony, and use code PONY for free shipping. Guys, hope you guys enjoy this interview with Paul Rasmussen in our latest edition of Walking Strong, talking SMU basketball with Paul Rasmussen.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epic Estate Wines. Walking Strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epic Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epic Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. Learn more, Epic, EPOCH, epicwines.com. And now your host. Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Walking Strong with Bill Armstrong, a special edition here, Bill.
Oh, we got a great one. We got a great one today. We got a special guest. I got to say, I'm a little nervous. You know, I'm a little nervous because, by the way, our special guest, Paul Rasmussen, senior minister at Highland Park United Methodist Church, proud SMU grad.
You must have run out of guests if you're going into the well of pastors. You're bringing pastors on the show
I
now.
know. Well, Joel Osteen canceled at the last second.
He wasn't available. Yeah.
If he watches this podcast and he hears me call you my favorite pastor, it might really bum him out.
I'll tell him you're my favorite church member.
Yeah. By the way, yesterday, you crushed that sermon yesterday.
Hey, it was good to see you there. You're all decked out in your
I was
black.
there. I was in black for a change. I never wear black. And I was
coat.
I know. Yeah, it was a cold day out there in
Very
Dallas.
impressive. You were in the running for best dressed in the chapel. You were.
Well, I'm always afraid that when I walk into a church that lightning might come out of the sky and just take me out. So
Billy, you're not nearly as scared as I am. When you walk in the church.
when I walk in,
I brace for impact.
Clearly, we were good friends. Let me tell you guys a little bit about my man. And this is our first podcast that we talk almost exclusively about basketball.
Yeah.
Which is great. We have dozens of fans. And we normally do these podcasts. Have you seen? I've sent them all to you.
I've seen them. They're good.
Before each week and after each game. But there was an uprising of our dozens of fans that said we got to have more podcasts.
You got to show some love.
Show some love. You got to have something on the off season, and we got to show the basketball some love. David Miller doesn't do the podcast, and he's the boss hog of the basketball program.
Indeed.
I'm kind of the boss hog of the football program, but I'm a massive basketball fan, just like you are.
Yeah.
So let's first of all, we have wine today.
Oh.
And but you're not drinking. So,
I'm not drinking.
I'm sorry.
I've already had communion.
We're going to use Epic as the sacramental
This
wine.
could be somewhat holy.
Yeah, can you say a blessing over this? Anyway, this is our what is this?
What is it? Yeah,
2018
Is
authenticity.
this from your place?
It's from my place, and I call
Epic.
I call it Epic. Yeah, so I call it authenticity because you're the most authentic guy I know.
Are these selling well? You selling well?
Oh, this sells like.
You making any money from
this? This sells like cucumbers at a women's prison.
Well, then you need to increase your giving to the church.
Of course.
Hey, if you're drinking this wine,
of course.
drink more Epic so Bill can give more to the church. That's
A
what
little
we
bit extra
need
in
to
the
do.
pot each week.
Hey, listen. Hey, since we're talking about wine and with a pastor,
Yeah.
you know the first miracle.
Yeah, turning water into wine.
You know where that was?
Cana.
Cana.
I've been there.
See, he knows his biblical stuff.
I thought you
I've
were
been
going to say
there.
Paso.
You've been there.
I've been
So-
there. I've renewed my own wedding vows there, and I've renewed the wedding vows of dozens of people there.
At Cana.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Cool
So
place.
you want to tell the first story of the first miracle? You want me to?
Go ahead.
Well, I don't really know as well as you do, I'm sure.
It's okay.
But
Fact check.
they were at this wedding, Jesus, Mary, and it was a wedding, I think, of some of Mary's relatives.
Yes.
And they ran out of wine, and Mary turns to Jesus and said, "Hey, do what you do, baby. And
I think it's close to what you said.
Close. I mean, I've got to bring it up to the current age, right?
Do what you do, baby.
And so then he turned the water into wine. That was his first miracle. But I was thinking about this on the way before I saw you here today. That couldn't have been the first miracle, because how did Mary know he could turn the water into wine?
Well, that's a good question, but it's the first miracle we have documented,
and the first one public, supposedly. Yeah. But I got to figure he was
so
I figure he was at the house a lot of times, and Mary is like, "Come on."
He's in his early 30s at that point.
Was in the early. I was wondering how old he was.
Probably
so he was legal. He was legal. He was legal.
He was legal.
Okay. And so I got to figure that Mary knew he was going to do it. And I heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the way it used to be is you have the best wine first at a party.
Correct.
And then as the party went on, and everybody got lubricated, you start bringing out the lesser wines,
the non-epic wine.
And then when Jesus turned the water to wine, it was the best wine of the night.
That could be construed that way.
Yeah, that's the way I read it in the Bible.
Yeah.
Do you have a different version?
Well, that's why you read the Bible. You kind of assess your own, however it speaks to you. And if it spoke to you in that way, and that's what you focused on, hey, that's good. Because usually they have the epic wine first.
Actually, I read it in the Wikipedia this morning.
The Wikipedia version.
The Wikipedia version.
Real nice.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm sure that the wine that he probably produced was maybe an epic equivalent. I don't know. What do you think, George? It's pretty darn good. And my boy Paul's not drinking. This is something he decided to not drink since he was basically ever. Right? Well, you're telling me
56 years sober, and I'm 56.
You're 56. You never had it. So
man, I've never had a drop. It's a weird thing. It's an odd deal. I'm an anomaly. But yeah, we've talked about that before. But it's not moral. It's not religious.
Okay.
I was just surrounded by a host of alcoholics in my family growing up. Oh, talk about epic, different kind of epic. But yeah, legendary alcoholics in the Rasmussen family.
Oh, no kidding! So it runs the gene must run in the pool.
It's deep, long, and wide in terms of alcohol.
And you saw the nightmare and just said, I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, on a serious note, yeah, a ton of alcoholism. Lost a brother.
Damn good.
My other brother was in dozens of wrecks, in and out of jail. Father had all kinds of problems. Sister's an alcoholic. So all my buddies started drinking in Louisiana. You go pretty hard, pretty quickly. Yeah. About 12 or 13, all my buddies started drinking. I still don't know why, but I made a decision. I thought I'm just going to sit it out for 1 year.
Wow.
My freshman year in high school, I thought I'm going to sit it out for 1 year and see what happens. See if I have fun. See if I have dates.
Right.
see how this whole thing works, and it worked. And I ended up having the time of my life. And at the end of that year, I hadn't had a drop, and so I thought, well, I'd just ride this out. No need to start now, so I just never started. But so a lot of people, when they find that out, think it's either moral or religious. But
because I was curious why you didn't, because I know your wife drinks.
No, she does. She loves a good wine. She loves your wine. Yeah. Loves your wine.
I love sharing.
Yeah, she's a big fan of the wine. I just thought I'd take it off the table as any potential risk.
Yeah. By the way, if
you knew you were going to have cancer, you just kind of take it off the table.
Absolutely.
So, there you go.
You know who the first wine producer was, don't you? It's in the Bible. It's in Genesis.
You got me there.
Noah.
No kidding?
Kid you not. He was also the first known alcoholic.
Can we verify this?
First known alcoholic.
He read it.
I read it today.
He was
before this morning.
He had a little problem with the juice.
He had a problem with the juice. Noah did.
Yeah.
Well, if you hang around that many animals all the time, you'd probably have a problem.
He
with
had
the
a
juice
big problem
too.
with the juice.
Yeah.
One of his shortcomings for sure. But he was the first producer of wine.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and look that up.
That was like what, 6,000 BC? No, before
it's been a
Curtis.
while.
So 4,000 BC.
You did spend some time on the Wikipedia.
Well, I didn't want to look like I was non-biblical around you today. I mean, that'd be all wrong. We can't just talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, we could talk just about basketball. But by the way, I want to talk about basketball. I want to tell everybody, you're an SAE at SMU.
Phi Alpha.
Phi Alpha. What the hell's that?
Phi Alpha,
stuck between
buddy.
two Fijis now.
He's right?
Fiji.
Yeah. Yep.
Fiji and Fiji?
Yeah. He was president.
Oh, man.
He was president of Fiji House.
Yeah. No, I was an SA right here.
I can't believe you're a sober SAE. I mean, that's even
one and only.
That's even more rare than a pastor coming out of the SAE house.
Yeah.
What did your fraternity brothers think when you said, "I'm going to go I'm going to go be a minister.
Well, they at first they freaked out, and now they laugh because they've seen me in all kinds of situations, some of which were pre-ministry. I probably wouldn't talk about a whole lot, but they were great. That was kind of the same deal as it was in high school. I had a great time, loved it, and obviously surrounded by a bunch of crazy guys.
Oh yeah, you keep in touch with a lot of those guys.
They kind of respected me, never tried to force it on me, whatever. We had a good time, and I ended up driving a
there you go.
ton of cars.
You're the.
I've driven every brand of
Uber
car
before Uber was around.
Yeah, as the designated driver for 4 years at SMU, I've driven every kind of brand of car possible. But I tell you, it wasn't fun though, because we used to have this thing called the SA 400, and you had to go in a room, and probably wasn't legal, but you had to go in a room and you had to drink 400 cups of beer. And,
that definitely was not legal. Don't tell Gerald, you didn't hear that.
Yeah.
And so, but we would go in there, and they would have all these tables set up with beer. And for my table, they would have a private table for me, and it was full of water, cups of water. Well, as it turns out, you cannot chug water. Yeah. And so all my buddies were chugging and having a great time, and I'm over there throwing up because I can't get any more down.
Too much water.
No kidding.
I thought there's something wrong
I've never
here.
heard of that.
Waterboarding.
Yeah. And so I thought something's wrong here. They're having fun, and I'm over here suffering for the cause, for brotherhood. And yes, I used to have to slam water whenever they would have to slam beer. And I
didn't know you couldn't slam water.
Let me assure you, you cannot.
Unbelievable.
I've tried.
I've done the other a lot, but
I can mix in a water every now and again. I need to do that a little bit.
It's just
better.
all dense, and I don't know, but it was so that was part of my blood chip back in the day.
Oh, wow.
How'd you come from Shreveport over to SMU, end up in SAE?
You know what? That's a good question. I wanted to go to the University of North Carolina. That was kind of my dream school, but they did not, turns out, want me at all. So I applied early decision, got rejected. Then I applied regular decision, got rejected. And my father and aunt had gone here, and we were SMU fans from Shreveport, just 180 miles up the road. And first football game was the '83 Cotton Bowl with Dan Marino, and freezing cold, raining. Man,
it was cold. It was a great game.
It was fun though. So I was an SMU fan growing up. I kind of wanted to go to Carolina because of basketball. But I didn't get in, and so I didn't have many backup schools, but I had SMU, and we went on all the tours I went to look at colleges, Vanderbilt, Emory, Swanee, all these places. You did the tour, and you got interviewed, and you had to. When we came to SMU, we had all that stuff scheduled, but we didn't do any of it. I had an old high school buddy who was an SA, a junior, 2 years ahead of me, and my mom dropped us off at the SA house. We stayed there for about 24 hours. She picked us up, and we said, "Yep, this is where we're going." She said, "Well, how was the interview?" And how was the? I said, "We did not see the campus. All we saw was the SA house and a few of the surrounding pubs."
But look,
and we literally got in the car.
Maybe one of the best things that ever happened.
I said, "Mom, here's
you
where."
You should send a thank you note to your University of North Carolina. So thank you for not letting me in.
Yeah, well, so actually it worked out well. It's one of those weird things. You never know things are going to work out, but it worked out, and I'm still here. I don't know. What is it? 40-something years later, whatever.
It's unbelievable, and you're doing a fabulous job at HPUMC, man.
Oh, I've been
it's
really
really good. Is that the largest United Methodist church in the country?
It kind of depends on how you measure. A lot of people measure by either attendance or church membership, and but basically we're the second largest. There's a big one in Kansas City, Church of the Resurrection, but we're the second largest.
That's something else.
But it's a good, really wonderful place to show up for work, and we do a lot of good things.
Oh, that's great. And you commonly walk to campus when you're working on your sermons, because you call me and just ask me for help occasionally.
What did you do this weekend,
what
Bill?
are you doing? You're running out of ideas completely if you're calling me up.
Yeah, well, you got to look for illustrations of sinning. So,
I knew that was coming.
Find out what's the latest in sinning. What's the most current sinning out there?
Like you tell me all the time.
Call you though.
Look,
I do
Jesus
call you.
hangs out with the sinners and the saints alike.
Oh man,
right?
Let me tell you, there's no question. Billy Joel said they were more fun. He could have been right. I do walk the campus. I walk the campus all the time. Walk out the campus all the time, and I just lost my dog, my walking buddy. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. But I've been walking a ton, and I love the campus. It's a great place to.
That is gorgeous,
show
isn't it?
work. Oh,
I mean, better and better each year.
Oh my goodness! I mean, just the landscaping here is just crazy.
And you've been around. And you see other campuses. I'd put it up there. It's got to be in the top
5
easily.
I think it has been rated number 1.
Now, this campus,
I mean, there's weird ratings, but
I know it's
yeah.
subjective. But
Yeah.
if you walk on this campus, what's not to like?
I agree. And we're doing a great job of keeping the architecture consistent.
Yeah.
You know, like you go to UT, you can't even tell when you're on the campus, off campus, because the buildings are all different. Decades and blah blah.
Different
But
styles.
this is all super organized and
Yeah,
very well done. And when they do put in beautiful buildings, they match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Armstrong Fieldhouse.
You got a couple of them.
Or the Armstrong Commons. For
Yeah,
example.
I don't have a name on my building, but you have a couple.
You're-
of yours.
You got a really big building. You're like a corner building on campus. So, hey, let's talk about basketball.
Hey,
Want to?
look.
Well, look, where are we right now? Moody Magic.
The great
Moody Magic is back.
Coliseum.
That was
Right
rolling
here.
on Sunday.
I mean, yesterday, was that ridiculous or what? That was a beatdown we put on Tiger High. I mean, it was just something else. I mean, I didn't see that. I talked to you after the sermon, and you were like, "One man, they're tough. They're going to be because they're good and they're big."
Well, they're so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, Memphis is so talented. They got 2 or 3 NBA guys, first rounders, and on paper you think, "Oh man, this is going to be a rough night." But we played them there. Probably had a chance to win, up 15, gave it up, buzzer beater. But it was nice to get them back.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that we lost on the road on that buzzer beater.
Yeah. So we were right, but yesterday was good to get them back.
I love the way Lanier has his boys playing.
Oh, man.
I mean, they are really play hard. I mean, because I agree with you. I look at man on man. You look at the Tigers and you say, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
But man, we are scrambling for every loose ball, and even when they're undersized. I mean, look at Williamson. He went right to the net a couple times and just
Sam Williamson. He's to me, he's a combo maybe overstated, but a combo like a Scottie Pippen and a Dennis Rodman, and that he doesn't get tired and he has a nose for the ball.
Yeah.
And he does all the things that nobody else really wants to do.
The rebound.
Yeah, he can
The
rebound,
hustle.
he can pass.
The blocking out, yeah.
And to see him have a good year is a huge reward because I know he struggled a little bit last year.
Didn't he have that injury to his elbow?
Yeah, he was a McDonald's All-American, which comes with a certain amount of baggage to have that label put on you because everybody expects you're going to be next world. And a lot of his peers played 1 year or less and went to the NBA.
One and done. Kind of
so he kind of had that expectation, and then he had an injury. And he had a severe nerve injury in his arm and had surgery, and it went okay, but it's never really healed.
Will it ever get better?
And possibly, but it'll be a while.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a guy that had one of his parts of his skill set because in high school he was an unbelievable shooter.
Oh yeah.
And you go back on YouTube and watch him play, and you'll be like, "Whoa, he's a great shooter." But when his shooting became a little rough because of the nerve injury, he just said, "Look, I got to pick it up on the other parts of the game."
Huh.
And he's done it. And this year, he's really done that. So
yeah, he has got lots of skills.
he's the glue.
It's amazing. What I liked about yesterday's game was we have so many weapons now.
Yeah.
If Zurich's having a bad game, we're not in trouble.
Yeah.
You got Harris who's going to play good. You got Wright. Ricardo yesterday was just
off the bench for 26.
26.
The odds of him being that
So-
dude going into this year were, if you would ask a lot of people, they would have said, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
It'd
know.
be somebody else.
He was
but
feeling it.
He's been
26 off the
rolling.
pine
Feeling it.
yesterday.
Yeah.
It was
And
amazing.
he's been doing that. If you, I know you've been by practice or two, but he does that in practice often. I mean, he can really, really play and really, really find the bucket. But you're right. We have depth that we have not had in many, many years. And
I know.
So when you bring in some parts, if one of them's struggling, somebody will pick it up.
What I loved about the last couple of home games, the Moody Magic feels like it's back. I mean, it's loud.
It's ticking up.
I mean, Memphis last night was loud and full house.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine next year. Imagine instead of playing Memphis here, we're playing Duke.
You got Duke, Carolina,
you-
Wade, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, everybody rolling in here. It's going to be
I mean,
unbelievable.
it's going to be just
Yeah,
wild.
Virginia.
Yeah.
The list is long.
It's long. It's
Clemson.
going to be fantastic. Long and loud. And
so
you're going to. I mean, this is one of the best Cracker Jack arenas in the country. I think.
there again, you've been to a lot of arenas. This is up there. I don't know if you saw Rick Pitino the other day. Did you see that?
Somebody told me about it.
Rick Pitino, they said, listen, give me the 10 toughest places to play. And I think this was 6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was listening to Cameron and Allen Fieldhouse, and he included Moody Coliseum in his top 10 of toughest places when he was at Louisville.
I'll be darned.
And
His halftime interview, I don't know if you were probably in here and didn't see it. He said he thought SMU was a religious school when he showed up.
And also that was back when you can't do this anymore, but that was the students used to be behind the visitors bench.
Yeah.
And they were all over them.
I've heard
they were all over.
I've heard they were.
They don't do that. They just switch that up.
Yeah.
And then now
I was sitting there thinking last night that it'd be good to have that back again. To have it right behind the visitors bench.
So
was that a rule of the conference to do that?
The conference started that.
And so you can't do that anymore. But so
ACC,
this place is rough. This place is full.
I mean, Duke does that. Don't they have all their madmen behind the bench there?
Their camera, it's switched. So like they shoot the camera like behind us, so they'd see. Imagine if this was the student section.
Oh, okay.
So
they're not behind the bench.
This would be the student section.
Yeah.
Got it.
Cameron.
Got it. Didn't I think the architect that built Cameron built this, right?
Yeah. It's either that or it's modeled after.
And now when they redid this, you couldn't have this slope anymore.
It's too steep.
You got grandfathered in because it's too steep.
Yeah.
And so the sight lines are good, and you're just on top. That's why it's so darn loud in here.
That's why it's so loud.
It's really loud here. So when this place is full, it's hard to win here.
Well, we're showing it this year. What's our record this year?
9 straight, 13-2 this year at home.
Is that right?
Yes. Pretty strong.
That is really good.
Strong.
I mean, we are. Moody Magic is back. I mean, when Larry Brown was coaching here, it was off the hook.
Yeah.
and then we had the lull through the jank era, and then and now Lanier's building us back up. How would you compare Lanier with Larry Brown as a coach, style and whatnot?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Well, one, I mean, you're comparing a terrific coach, but Larry's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
and still the only guy that's won an NCAA title and an NBA title, which I don't. Somebody might do that one day, but it's going to be a while.
Kevin Ollie just got hired by the Nets.
Okay, he could do it.
He'd be the only one that has.
He played for Brown in the NBA. They're different for sure.
Because you go to practices a lot.
I go to practice 4 or 5 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
I get up in the morning. It's good for me because they practice early in the morning. So I get up and go to practice, and then I go to work.
Okay.
So it works out for my schedule. But Larry Brown was he was such a maestro of running practice, but they were different. And by that I mean he never let the guys play more than about 30 seconds continually without stopping.
In practice?
Ever. Out of probably 200 practices, I never saw the kids compete for more than 30, 35 seconds.
No kidding.
No scrimmaging. I mean, they would scrimmage, but he'd stop because he saw something wrong.
And he would stop and make a correction.
Every time. So the players would get frustrated because they want to get loose. They want to go. And almost never would it go more than 1 or 2 trips up the court. And he would stop play and he would point out something. And he was so meticulous in his attention to detail. And he had a radar that I've never seen in another coach. By that, he would see something on this end of the court, and with the same possession, he had also identified something at the other end, 40, 50 feet away. And you're like, how did he notice that mistake and that mistake? And that mistake. And his radar for seeing mistakes was unbelievable. And sometimes as a coach, you'll see a mistake, but you think, oh, there's momentum, let's let it go, I'll address it later.
Right.
Not Coach Brown. He would stop play, point out the mistakes in an effort to just eliminate them and iron them out. And so, a lot of kids can play for that kind of style because you get frustrated. But he would also maintain the intensity.
That was from his point guard days when he was
probably.
I mean, he was one of the greatest point guards. I saw him play in the ABA, and he was just.
I never saw him play. I've read about him a ton.
Yeah, he was
and
great.
I got to know him, but so he ran a very meticulous practice. Now, Rob's practices are equally as intense for sure, particularly on the defensive end. But he'll let the kids play. And it's not that he will overlook mistakes, but he will let them play to get up a flow. Larry, if you took a bad shot, you might not play for a month. You were out. I mean, that was like the cardinal sin.
Yeah, that's funny.
And Rob.
I never ever heard the more voracious use of the word in my life.
Is there a beep?
And that is where
is there a beep on this thing?
What?
Yeah.
I mean, our dozens of fans are going to like bring a little character, a little color to this.
Dozens of fans. He was articulate, let's say that, and colorful. He was colorful.
I think the boys loved him.
Rob is not that way. Rob is intense, and he will do everything in his power to demand that the kids play hard. But Rob is founded on principle. I mean, his principles and his appreciation for character and values, I've not seen anything like that. All coaches have some degree of that. So Rob's basketball, I mean, who am I to judge, is outstanding. There's no question. But his desire through character and principle and values and the constant surfacing of those in the moment and in practice and after practice and before practice, Rob really wants these kids to be better at life and to have a better life.
Well, don't you think it's obvious on the team, especially as the season is gone? I mean, they play as a family.
No question.
I mean, they don't want to let down their teammates.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit rare in college basketball. You know, there's all the one and done guys, and they're just thinking about the next show. But you look at that bench, and they're pulling for each other in a huge way. Yeah.
You know, that family term, you see it everywhere. It's a kind of cliche. There's always a term in college basketball if you watch on TV. You know, one year it was physicality. Physicality, the team's got to have physicality. Yeah. One year it was length. Somebody woke up one day and said, we're not going to talk about being tall anymore. We're going to talk about being long. And they would say, this team has a lot of length. I've noticed this year the word is connected. Every time you watch a game, they're going to talk about this team is connected, but it's a cliche. This team is connected. Huh. And for them, it's not a cliche. It really is a value. And they love each other.
That's got to be Rob.
And you could put family on T-shirts. You could put family on the back of your warm-ups. You could say 1, 2, 3 family. But look, to really instill what it means to be a family is another level. And it's non-negotiable. And so these guys are connected. And I think it's paying off. It's paying off.
I love that. I mean, you see Hudson come in, for example. And,
Turtle.
Turtle.
El Tortuga Grande.
And I don't even know what that means, but
the big turtle.
But the big turtle. Why do they call him that? The big turtle.
I don't know, but that's his nickname.
Ninja Turtle.
I'm not sure where it came from.
That's funny.
Yeah, but he's had that name his whole life, and no one calls him Jaheim. Everybody calls him Turtle, except for the announcers, and they call him Jaheim. But Turtle, I don't know.
Jaheim's a good kid. I took him out to dinner for a life after ball, and he is a fine young man. Kind of like what you're getting back as far as Rob attracting kids with good character.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree. I think that's rare, and I love it.
And family also has a lot of transparency. Rob will tell you the truth, but they've learned to receive the truth, and then also they're transparent back when they communicate to him, to coach. They're transparent back, and they're able to deal with that at kind of a mature level. But good family can do that. Bad family doesn't tell you the truth.
I agree with that. I don't want to.
More community.
Am I looking like Noah right now?
Not until you're under the boat, rolling around out your clothes.
You ever use that boat again? No, it ended up on the side of the mountain.
They're trying to build it somewhere now and charge $5 to go see it. So
are they trying to rebuild it
somewhere? Yeah.
You think that's the real boat?
I do not.
I don't either.
The growth from year one, and year one took some lumps, and that was tough to watch. But now they're I think they either hit the 21 mark yesterday or they are now at 19. What were the little things that you saw switch? And for me, watching the couple times I've been to practice, I think connection and them buying into receiving the truth has really been the key. Player development is important as well, but it just seems like they bought into truly what he's trying to accomplish with them as a group on the floor.
Yeah, well, these guys, they have a platform to instruct, but to instruct the kids, they got to listen. Not kids, but I don't want to call them kids, but the players. They have to listen and be dialed in and pay attention. It's easy to be distracted, but once they listen, they got to buy in. And that's the difference. I think last year they were listening. But this year they have bought in, and you start believing, what they're telling me, what the staff's telling me, what we see in the pregame, what we see in the scouting reports. They start to believe and buy into that. Then the execution goes up a little bit, and they're buying into his concepts, his principles, the way they're playing defense. You watch these kids play defense; it's hard to get a shot off.
They swarm.
They're very disruptive.
Yeah.
And so all those things, and we're deeper, and the players are more confident, but they're sharing the ball. Yesterday 2 or 3 times it was just textbook with 1 or 2 extra passes,
which I love.
To the open man.
That was one of my biggest complaints about the team last year was they didn't have that. It was kind of a 1-on-5.
Yeah.
But I think we had 30 assists.
28 on 35 made baskets,
And
I'm pretty sure that's the number. That's pretty sick. 106 points, most in an AAC game. They reset the record they set in 2017 against Memphis.
No kidding.
So
sending a fact man here. I love this.
See,
well, there's nothing better than SMU beating Memphis in basketball in particular, and honing in on that in the last regular season meeting. A lot of people enjoyed that one.
But they're sharing the ball, and so you see guys that can score, but they know that more than just their own ability to score, if they get a little bit better shot from sharing one more pass, it pays off for the team. And so you'll see them buying into that, and then they're rebounding like crazy. Yeah. I don't know how many offensive boards we had yesterday against a team that's a lot longer.
A lot longer. You got the length.
Memphis has length, but
I just love it. I love it when the end of the bench white guy comes in and shoots the 3 and buries it.
Jackson, that was an ovation.
The team went wild. They were throwing cups of water in the air and just going nuts. It was fun.
You know who was mad?
Who?
It was Coach Hardaway from Memphis.
Oh, he thought we were putting on points on him or something?
Yeah. Yeah, he thought it was disrespectful. There were about 25 seconds left on the shot clock. Well, first of all, Jackson's not a walk-on anymore. He's a scholarship player. They put him on scholarship mid-year.
Oh, no kidding.
And look, with those guys, as hard as they work in practice, when they get a moment to play, it's real hard. Minute of the game. It's really hard to talk them into just dribbling the timeout. And they get one opportunity, and he let it fly. I don't even remember years ago when John Wilfong dunked.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Against Memphis.
This roof just
it went nuts.
Fell off.
Memphis kid, I think.
It may have been. I can't remember who it was against, but
Wilfong
is a Memphis kid.
Okay,
yes. Yeah. His father and grandfather played for Memphis.
Yep.
But when he dunked, this place went crazy, and I have not heard it that loud for a walk-on type play like that since yesterday. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
And the best thing, seeing the kids on the bench. Just
oh my God, they went nuts. There's your family right there. There's your connection.
They want to see these other guys succeed, and so that's fun. It was a good day.
I love it. Well, listen, I think it's. I don't want to go on too long. We could do a whole other podcast of what it's like to be in a board meeting at SMU.
We got to get the beeper out though.
I know.
With you, man. They might
mix that in with your.
They might boot me off the board.
We have how many ministers, pastors on the board? 4 or 5?
Counting you?
There's several.
Gerald runs a good program, and they're talking about connection or connectivity. I mean, the board is. I mean, for Mustang Nation out there, they don't appreciate how well organized, how in sync the board is.
Oh,
and I mean, I look around the boardroom, and there's Ray Hunt, and there's Laura Bush, and then there's all these like champions of industry. And my favorite pastor's in there. And by the way, you rock the prayers at board meetings.
It's practice.
You and Richie Butler get in contests.
We do. We do. We're very competitive. We're very competitive. And so when he prays, I think, I got to get my A game tomorrow.
I liked it that one day we had a Zoom call, and Richie and you were both on the phone, and Richie said something, and you go, that was nice words from the second best pastor on this call.
Very competitive. No, but I did. First of all, let me say it is a ridiculous privilege for me to be on the board. I look around and think, who doesn't belong here?
I thought that about myself.
So I feel totally inadequate. So I'm blessed, and it's a giant privilege. But I didn't know, and now I have such an appreciation for how hard they work and how much they love their school. I mean, you figure, okay, they love their school, they wouldn't do it, but it may just be a rubber stamp type deal. No. They're all in.
Yeah, they are.
And you think about all those great minds in that room and all that wisdom and all that success, and they love SMU. And they will do anything to protect and to advance SMU. So I've been kind of overwhelmed by their just their fierce commitment to the work. So,
they do the work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in fact, if you don't do the work, you stand out as you haven't done the work. Don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, it feels like, you get like Gene Cox sit there and start bringing up like little minutia of some 50-page deal. I'm thinking, read that? You know, but no, anyway, I want the nation to hear that, because it really does. It is such an incredibly great part of they don't appreciate how great the trustees are.
Oh, I mean, it's, yeah. So you got a combination of wisdom and commitment. Pretty
Love
strong
it.
stuff.
Well, brother, thank you so much for
Hey,
doing
look,
doing
this
this.
is the best.
Wait, I heard us. Could you
Yeah,
tell?
it's
Could
awesome.
you could you share the story about how you became chaplain
Oh yeah.
to SMU?
Yeah, we have time?
Sure.
Oh.
If it's isn't very good, I'll just edit it out.
No, it's kind of crazy. I walked out, our campus is on the southwest corner of the college's campus. And I walked out of my office one day, and there was an assistant coach named Jerry Hobby, who I had known before. He worked for Coach Doherty. And I knew him because I came to the games, but I didn't have any kind of formal connection to the team. And Jerry said, "Hey, Coach Brown wants to meet you." And I thought, oh, like the Larry Brown wants to, how awesome is that? And so I got in his car, we drove over to the Crum Center and went to Coach Brown's office. Well, we went in, and he was in a meeting, and so I waited outside. And the meeting went on and on and on and on and on. I thought, I got to go back to work. And so I told Jerry, I said, Coach, I got to go back to work, so just call me when he's free later. And so I go back to the church, and then he calls me later that night, and he goes, look, you don't need to come back, but Coach Brown wants you to pray in the locker room tomorrow night. They were playing Tulane, I think. And I said, oh, it'd be awesome. So I show up the next day, and they have a little credential for me, and I go in the locker room, never met Coach Brown, and I walk in the locker room, and Coach Brown shakes my hand, and he pulls me into the middle of all the players, and all 15 players are staring at me. And Coach Brown's Jewish.
And I was going to say, I was sitting there thinking, I think he's, shouldn't he pull a rabbi in?
Yeah. Well, he's Jewish, and I think he thought I was Catholic, because he looks at me and he goes, okay, all right, gentlemen, eyes up. He said, I've invited Father Paul to he goes, I've invited Father Paul to talk with y'all tonight. And I'm thinking, talk?
And you're just like ice cold. Like, you're just like, what?
I had just walked, and I said, no, Coach Hobby told me I was going to pray. So I literally had like a very simple, because I'm thinking, he's Jewish. What does he want? And I'm thinking, so I had a very simple, dear God, don't let us get hurt. Let us play hard. Amen. Go. That was the prayer I had written in my head. I was going to keep it very simple. And he goes, I've asked Father Paul to talk with y'all. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, talk? What does that mean? About what? How long? Does he want it religious? Does he want it not religious? Does he want it about basketball? Does he what? I had no direction, no instructions, nothing. So I'm looking at Hall of Famer Larry Brown. I'm looking at 15 guys staring at me. And he goes, he's here to talk to y'all. And so I just started making some stuff up. Literally.
Was this Nick Moore, Marcus Kennedy?
Yes.
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 Oh my God.
Sterling Brown. And I started, so I'm looking out there, and I started making some stuff up, and I started talking about maximizing the gifts that God gave you. And, in my head, I was thinking, just keep it short. And so I talked for about 5 minutes, and then I wrapped it up and I prayed. And they go out, and not because of my talk, but they win the game. And after the game, Coach Brown pulls me aside. And he goes, I want you to do that every game from now on.
Stop it.
Every game. So from that moment on, this was 13, 14 years ago, whatever, he gave me 6 minutes. He gave me 6 minutes in a pregame talk in the locker room, home and road, if I wanted, to address the team with no instruction. He never told me what to say, what to talk about. He never told me to keep it religious, not religious. He later told me that when he was at North Carolina, that they always had a chaplain, and that and he said so. But he never censored me. He never told me what to talk about and not. I never planned out. So I had a pregame talk with all the time while he was here, and then when he left, Coach Jankovic was kind enough to keep me around in that same role. And then now, Rob has been unbelievable. My role's a little bit different. But he was also kind enough to let me stick around. So it all started, though, when he said, I've asked Father Paul to talk to you.
Father Paul.
Did Coach Brown ever find out that you are not acting?
Yeah. Well, and he and I used to walk the Katy Trail a lot.
Yeah.
And so we actually
used to walk with Coach Hobby all the time.
And we used to have we actually had a lot of theological talks and about his Jewish upbringing. And so he was pretty open about that. And so it was fun. And one of the cool things about being a chaplain is that you're dealing with folks that are not all Christian. And so, you have to honor that, respect that. You got folks that agnostic, atheist, Hindu, Muslim, could be everything. So you really got to treat that with great respect. But he was fun to talk to about.
Yeah, Coach Brown taught me how to ask better questions. You didn't
Really?
ever dare look ahead to if you were going to talk to the, media on Monday and they played Tulane on Thursday, but, match up against UConn on Saturday night, there'd be some couple TV reporters that would come in and be, Coach, I know you got Tulane, but UConn's coming in here, and he would go off.
Really?
And just
for looking past the game.
Yeah, be like, Tulane's got such and such who should be an All-American, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So he used to roast a couple of us.
He was. I know he's a very complex guy, complex coach, but a master of wisdom in a lot of areas of life.
No doubt about it.
And but Rob,
hey, did the boys reach out to you? To mentor them at all?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be around a lot. That's why I go to practice, because you have to have a trust factor, and that takes time. They don't just trust you because you got Chaplain on your card or whatever. They could give a rip that I am at the second largest Methodist church. They don't care. They don't want to know, do I trust the guy? And the deal is, if you think about it, these young men, they have experts in their life in every field. If their grades are struggling, they have academic people to help them. They have tutors. If their body is hurting, they have trainers and physicians. When they need basketball expertise, they got the best coaches on the planet. But there's something outside of that where they got the same questions about life and mortality. And if they lose a loved one, their parents die, their brother's in a car wreck, they have issues about the greater questions of life. And there's really no one around to talk about that stuff. And so that's where it's helpful. And that's where it's nice, because you get to build up a really nice relationship with them. And then when they have issues that are outside of, what kind of screen do I set? They will call you.
They'll give you a buzz. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
It's the most rewarding thing ever.
I'll tell you what, the team and SMU is blessed to have you around. It really is fantastic.
Overrated, but I love what I do.
And I really enjoy our friendship.
So, you too, brother.
It's always really fun. I mean, I never in my life thought my favorite pastor would be also one of my best friends.
Hey, no, right back at you, man.
I love it. Well, thank you for doing this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. You're doing great. I read all your stuff.
It.
You keep me educated.
Thank you. I try.
All right. Tune again. I'm not sure when our next one's going to be, or who's going. We can't top this.
Pony up.
Yep. Pony up. That's the only way to end it, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU on 3 and on Instagram at on3SMU. And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.